Jesus Christ, King of the universe. What a wonderful solemnity that we celebrate this day, reminding us that Christ is meant to be the King of our lives. Oftentimes we ask the question that helps us to be more deeply rooted in our faith: who or what sits on the throne of your heart? Oftentimes we can say that Jesus Christ is sitting at the throne of our hearts, of our minds, our wills, on any given day, in any given moment, hopefully time after time after time. But sometimes we might say that something else has snuck in, or someone else has come before God in our lives, has taken the seat that belongs to Jesus at the throne of our hearts as the King of our lives. This particular feast day, this solemnity, was promulgated in 1925 by Pope Pius XI. It was established in a time between World War I and World War II, where the world was at an unrest, a time of turmoil, a time of unknown of the future. And in that time, Pope Pius said that we need to be reminded that Christ is the King of our lives. And if we get that right, then Christ will be the King of our families, Christ will be the King of our parishes, Christ will be the King of our cities, of our states, of our country, of the universe indeed. He said it has long been a common custom to give to Christ the metaphorical title of King because of the high degree of perfection whereby he excels all creatures. So he is said to reign in the hearts of men, both by reason of the keenness of his intellect and the extent of his knowledge, and also because he is the very truth that we seek. And it is from him that truth must be obediently received by all mankind. He reigns too in the wills of men, for in him the human will was perfectly and entirely obedient to the holy will of God. And so today we might again reflect a bit. Is Christ truly the King of each of our lives? Is the throne of our hearts filled by Christ at all times? I would imagine that if we're truthful with ourselves, I know that from time to time we can get distracted by the world. We get distracted by things that aren't that should be first in our lives. But Christ wants to be first, and we're made for him. And so we can once again today kind of clear that spot again that's made for him. We can shine up the throne, if you will. We can make it worthy of him so that he is truly the King of our lives. We're in a time of a change of the liturgical year. And so we're ending the calendar year for the church with this solemnity. And then next Sunday will be the feast of the beginning of Advent. And so it's a great time to reflect on the past year, where have our hearts been, where have our minds been, where have our wills been, who has truly or who has what truly been seated at the throne of our lives. And if there's anything that needs to kind of be reordered, this is a wonderful time to do it as we start new in this liturgical year of Advent, entering into Christmas and preparing for Christmas. You know, the enemy wants to take the seat. He wants to take the seat at the throne of our hearts, at the throne of our minds, at the throne of our wills. And that's up to us in our own free will to decide, will we allow that, or will we flush out the enemy in our lives and allow Christ to be seated on the throne of our hearts. This past week, two amazing, wonderful things of what we would call the universal church, and certainly the Church of America, has happened that is directly tied to us as St. John's. The first, as many of you know, and in fact we have some guests today from the National Catholic Youth Conference, NCYC. So this past week, right here in the heart of our city, were thousands of young people who gathered to celebrate their faith, to dive deeper into their faith, to make sure that Christ is on the throne of their hearts, in the center of their lives, the King of their lives. And in that, it's always such a blessing to be the parish. It's kind of the host parish, if you will, in the heart of it all. They gather in Lucas Oil Stadium and the convention center across the street, but hundreds and thousands of young Catholics, the young church alive and well, have been with us this week. And it's a great reminder that the church is alive and well. It's a great reminder that we are a part of that universal church, a bigger church than our own parish. And it's a great reminder that Christ does reign, yet in the hearts of Catholics from all over this country and all over the world. A second thing that has happened this past week that is directly tied to us is that the United States bishops gathered in Baltimore for their fall assembly. You might say, Father, what does that have to do with us here in the heart of Indianapolis? Well, three things happened at that gathering that impacts us directly. First, the bishops voted on a Eucharistic Coherence document. It's really a teaching document that will be released to the church in America and will be significant really to the whole world on the truth of the Holy Eucharist. In today's gospel, we hear Jesus saying that He is the truth and that we must follow the truth. And what greater truth is there than Christ present in the Holy Eucharist, body, blood, soul, and divinity, that we receive Him today, Christ the King given to us through the Holy Eucharist. And so the bishops have voted that there should be this great teaching document that is used in the years to come to revitalize this truth, to re-embrace the truth for those who believe, for those who have walked away, to perhaps help them to come back home to the Catholic Church, and for those who never knew about this wonderful gift to be able to learn about it and perhaps choose that in their own lives. The second thing that happened this week with the bishops is that they voted to have a Eucharistic revival over the next 2 years in the United States. What a wonderful word, revival, a Eucharistic revival. We all need revived sometimes in our faith, and certainly as we know some of the grim statistics of the lack of belief in the real truth of the Holy Eucharist, that we need a revival. And so the bishops, being very proactive, have decided that there should be 2 years of revival. The first year will be led by dioceses. So dioceses all over the country will have Eucharistic processions in the streets, will do teaching on the great beauty and truth of the Eucharist. We'll have gatherings that help people come home to the church. And then the second year will be parish revival. Every parish across the United States will be encouraged to kind of develop, to discern their own needs, their own community, and help revive that community to the beauty, goodness, and truth of the Eucharist. And so 2 years of bringing back this wonderful gift that has been given to us, Christ's body, blood, soul, and divinity of the Holy Eucharist and Holy Communion. And finally, the bishops decided something that will direct us, will impact us very directly here at St. John's. They decided to have a Eucharistic Congress in July of 2024, and lo and behold, it will be hosted right here in Indianapolis. Indianapolis received the bid to host a Congress that will gather 80 to 100,000 people from across the United States and world to culminate this revival of the Eucharist. The gatherings will happen in Lucas Oil Stadium, in the Convention Center, and right here in our beloved parish of St. John's. What a wonderful gift that we have as a community, as a people of faith, to be such a direct part of a revival of the Eucharist ourselves. To be a part of welcoming people as we have for so many centuries into this sacred place. And to be a part of the gift of celebrating with the universal church, the gift of the Eucharist in our own lives. The Lord certainly has blessed us over the years, and He continues to help us to know that we, as a faithful community, have much to give, much to share with others throughout this country. As we celebrate this great solemnity, Christ the King of the universe, let us be reminded that today we will receive His very self in the Holy Sacrament. And when we do, we are renaming Him the King of our lives, placing Him on the throne of our hearts, on the throne of our wills, on the throne of our minds, on the throne of our bodies, as temple of Him. And that we are reclaiming once again that Christ is the King not just of our lives, but the King of our families, the King of our parish, the King of this community, and literally the King of the universe.